Tonight, Nancy Drew in Policewoman.
In this episode, I want you to pretend that you're a policewoman on the morning of December 26. And you do it all. You answer the 911 call. You arrive at the Ramsey's house at 5:52 a.m. You are there while they wait, while the ransom note is read, and when John Ramsey discovers the body of JonBenet. And what will your feelings be? What would the conclusion be? What would your conclusion be of what happened?
Police, at 515th Street. Kidnapping. Hurry, please. There, there's a note left and our daughter's gone. She's blind. 6 years old. I don't know. I just found the note. And my daughter. What? I don't know. There's a ransom note here. FBTC. Victory. Please. Nancy Ramsey, I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please. No, I don't. Please, we just got out. Is she right here? Oh my God, please. There's somebody. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
After typing the last little bit of information, you run outside, get in your car, and drive over to the Ramsey house. Patsy Ramsey answers the door, wearing a red sweater and black slacks. She appears agitated and distraught, while John appears tense but calm. Patsy tells you she came downstairs at 5:45 to awaken her daughter, JonBenet, but her room was empty, so she went down the staircase to the kitchen area and found the 3-page note. Patsy and John show you the note lying on the wooden floor in the hallway next to the kitchen. John Fernie arrives at the house. Priscilla and Fleet White arrive. You learn that Patsy, John, Burke, and JonBenet went to Priscilla White's house for Christmas dinner the night before. Patsy tells you Burke is asleep in his bedroom. Then Barbara Fernie arrives. Patsy is almost hysterical and goes and sits down with Priscilla and Barbara in the sunroom. John Ramsey is composed. He doesn't talk with Patsy. You investigate. There's no obvious signs of forced entry into the house. JonBenet's bed doesn't look like she's been snatched out of it. The pillow doesn't seem right. The covers don't seem right. The ransom amount seems odd. $118,000. You order a trap and trace on the telephone line. Fleet White heads down to the basement. He notices the broken window. He even opens the door to the wine cellar, but cannot see inside. Closes the door and returns upstairs. Another police officer takes the ransom note to the police station for you. 2 victim advocates arrive. Reverend Roland Hoverstack arrives. John Ramsey wakes up Burke, and he is sent to the White's house, a la John Fernie and Fleet White. John Ramsey calls Rod Westmoreland to obtain the ransom money. Westmoreland is at his parents' home in Mississippi. He arranges for a $118,000 credit line on John's Visa card. You instruct John Ramsey on how to handle the ransom call. John calls his pilot and tells him what has happened and that they won't be flying today. You begin to question John Ramsey. He tells you that they were home around 9 p.m. and JonBenet had fallen asleep in the car and he carried her to bed. He worked on putting a toy together with Burke, then he put him to bed, went upstairs, took a pill, read, and fell asleep. He thought all the doors were locked that night. You ask John if he can think of someone who could do this, and he says maybe Jeff Merrick. He left the company on bad terms. The window of between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. that day for the possible ransom call passes. You notice John Ramsey reading his mail. Then noontime passes. The victim advocates have left, and you sense there's nowhere to go from here, no one to call, and John is very anxious now. You tell him to check the house from top to bottom for anything out of place or unusual. John and Fleet go downstairs to the basement. Call 911, Fleet yells, and he comes up through the basement. Then you see John carrying JonBenet out away from his body and placing her body on the living room floor. You check on JonBenet, but she is dead. You look at John Ramsey, and then Patsy comes into the room, screaming and crying hysterically. You think this is not a ransom, and you feel uneasy. And then John levels a gun at you and shoots you once in the chest. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved. And won't you join us next Friday evening for another exciting episode of Unsolved? Tomorrow night, look for the Zodiac Killer case. See you next time.